Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Judith and this is Urban Wanderlust. If you're new here, I make videos all about my candle company that I run out of my home studio while also throwing in some tips and tricks along the way. If you're not new, welcome back. So today is the long-awaited Q&A video. It's been long overdue because you guys are always DMing me and sending me messages, asking me 1,000,001 questions. So today I decided to answer as much as I can. Ellie's sleeping, so let's see how much we can get through in one take. So if you see me looking off to the side, I have all my questions pulled up here. You guys left me messages on my post within YouTube and also DM'd me a bunch of questions on Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, pause this video right now, go to Instagram, follow us at Urban Wanderlust Candles, and let's be friends. Okay, so I'm just gonna be looking off to the side here because I have all my questions queued up. I'm gonna try to get through as much as I can, but I have the feeling that this might be a two-part video, but let's see what we can do. So straight off the bat, there is gonna be a disclaimer. There are certain questions that I'm not gonna be answering, and I'll let you know which questions those are. And I have two main reasons why I don't wanna answer them. The type of questions that I'm not willing to answer are, who are your suppliers? Where do you get your jars from? Where do you get your fragrances from? And that's for two main reasons. One, so I've been doing this for almost 5 years. It's taken me a lot of time and research to look into these suppliers, to source out these places, to try to find something somewhat unique to my brand and to the candle business. And it wouldn't be fair after all of my research and after all of my homework for me to just give them up just like that. With that being said, it's not like I haven't shared my suppliers with other candle makers, but these are longtime candle maker friends that I know have also put in the work, have done the research on their own, and I may or may not share my suppliers with them. Now, just because you're a longtime candle maker friend doesn't mean that I'm just gonna cough up my supplies. There have been a couple candle makers that have asked me, where do you get your lip balm tubes? Because they're a different size and they're somewhat unique. And I've told them, you know what, I'm gonna keep the supplier secret, and they completely understand that. It's kind of like you have to pay your dues in a way, get out there, go on Google, research wholesale candle supplies, and you'll see a list of very popular suppliers that should pop up. Now, the second reason why I'm not going to give up my suppliers and where I get my fragrances from is because of copycats. I did have a situation, I think it was back in 2018 or 2019, where I had another candle maker who happens to use the same exact jar as me, steal my photos, and pass them off as hers. And if you know anything about taking product photography, it takes a long time to get the photos just right, to make them look professional, stage them. I put in a lot of hard work into these photos, and for someone to just go on my page, screenshot it, and pass them off as theirs is totally not fair. I even saved some of the conversations that I had with her, asking her to pull it down. If I have them, I'll put them up here on the screen. She was a follower of mine, and she would DM me a lot of the times saying, wow, you're such an inspiration. I love what you do. And there's a fine line between, inspiration and gathering inspiration from someone else and straight up copying. And I didn't appreciate that. After her and I had a couple of conversations talking about, she asked me where I got my gift boxes from, where I got certain things. And there's certain supplies that I don't mind sharing with you guys as to where I find them. Then she just kind of crossed the line when she just straight up screenshotted my jars in my living room and passed them off as hers. I don't even know how I came across it. Actually, I think I found out because she was always DMing me. I started following her back, and then I saw in her story something that looked like my living room, and I was like, wait a minute, that's my table. That's my little Buddha statue in the background. That's my couch. This is my freaking jar, And because of that, I'm very weary as to what I post, what information I give out. So that was a long disclaimer. Let's get into the questions. So Miss Ellie woke up. She's on the floor playing on her playpen. So if you hear any funny noises, that's her. I'm gonna try to group the questions together in categories. So the first part is about work. So the first question is from SnookyBear92 on Instagram. And she asked, do you still work a full-time job? Yes, I do. I am a senior executive assistant for a fashion brand, and I do that Monday through Friday, but I'm currently on maternity leave from that job. The second question is from BX Beck, and it's actually 3 questions. Are you still on maternity leave? Yes, I am, from my full-time job, not Urban Wanderlust. Do you still have your other full-time job? Yes. And what's the plan? So the plan, that's a very broad question, but I'm going to answer it as I feel she might be asking it. Oh, okay, miss. The plan is to still continue to do Urban Wanderlust while also doing my full-time job. I've always done both. Now throw in a baby into the mix, and that's where things get a little dicey, and I'm still trying to figure that out. Another part of that question is, how do you balance working full-time with your regular job and running a business? So the way that I've always done it is I work my day job Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. When I come home, I start processing orders. Because of the pandemic, I've been working remotely from home since March of 2020, which has allowed me to concentrate more on the business because I'm at home. So I'm in my studio right now. I have my work computer, and then I have my personal laptop. So because of that, it gives me more flexibility as to when I can work on my candles since I'm already home. Do not work on my candles at the same time that I'm doing my full-time job. That would not be right. So yeah. Next question. The next question is from Said She Candle Company, and she's asking, how do you make sure that your content is all on brand? Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for thinking that my content is on brand, because in my eyes, I feel like I'm always struggling to make sure that everything is cohesive and streamlined and looking the same. The best advice that I can give you guys is that make sure that your labels across all of the products that you sell on your website are exactly the same type of label, same font, same brand color. When you're posting things on Instagram or on Facebook or on TikTok, make sure that you're using the same brand colors. I personally, on my Instagram, try to make sure that everything looks the same. And the way that I edit my photos, which I'm gonna be making a video about soon, is the same. I use the same filters, and I use the same brightness and editing app for all of my photos. So I think that as long as that you're staying consistent with things that you post on social media and the way that you take your pictures on your website, they should look on brand for the most part. How did you grow your candle company to what it is today? And the best advice I can give you for that is to remain consistent and true to yourself. And you are your best marketing agent. The best thing that I can say is to be consistent and to sell yourself always. Whether you have a business account for your company or your personal account. So I have two Instagrams. I have my personal account where I post pictures of myself, my travel, my family, and then I have the IG for Urban Wanderlust. And for a long time, when I was just starting out, I was cross-promoting. So on my personal page, I was constantly promoting Urban Wanderlust and showing people like, hey, this is my business. If you like me here, follow me on Urban Wanderlust, until I felt as though my numbers grew for Urban Wanderlust. Once I felt as though I had a really good following on Urban Wanderlust, I stopped cross-promoting. Every once in a while, if I'm having a good sale for Memorial Day, 4th of July, or whatever, I might cross-promote on my personal page. But for the most part, I don't. I leave my personal page for personal stuff, and now I do everything on Urban Wanderlust. So the best way to market yourself is to constantly show up, post, and you're selling yourself. Don't be embarrassed if you feel as though you're nagging your friends. Your friends will understand the hustle, and they will understand what you're trying to do, that you're trying to make something of yourself, and that you're trying to. That's right, girl. They'll understand that you're trying to bring awareness to this brand, and they should applaud you for that, you know? So the best marketing advice would be to just film everything. Film yourself from making, from packing, shipping it, dropping it off at the post office. Content is always great content, and I feel like that's the best marketing advice that I can give you, whether you're making IG Reels, TikToks, posting to Facebook, anything. That's marketing. That's free marketing. Use it while you can. I promise you guys, she's having a great time. She's down there just trying to get her ball, and she gets a little frustrated sometimes that she can't reach it. So she's very cute. I assure you she is safe. Okay, we're back. Okay, no, we're not back. All right, so the next question is, how do you find wholesale customers? And then someone else asked, how do you find your customers? And that goes back to marketing. The way that you find wholesale and wholesale customers and regular customers, you have to sell yourself. You have to be present. You have to be active on IG and Facebook and TikTok, interacting with people and talking to people. I believe my first wholesale client, they actually reached out to me and said, hey, I really love your brand and the way it looks and everything. how much to wholesale one of your candles. And at that point, I don't even think I had a wholesale strategy plan in place. And I remember rushing to Peter. I'm like, oh my God, you gotta help me. I gotta figure this out, blah, blah, blah. I feel like that's a whole nother video in itself, but make sure that you are pricing your items correctly, because your retail price is going to dictate your wholesale price. And once you have your retail price on lock, you're able to get your wholesale price even that much quicker. And there are also other channels on how you can get wholesale clients. If you're on Shopify, which is the domain that I use, they have a wholesale platform called Handshake, so you can sign up there. There are a couple of other wholesale platforms that I use also. There's Bulletin, there's Fair. All of these places you have to apply. It's extremely hard to get into some of them. Okay, we're gonna play with this one now, okay? Because the bell is disrupting mommy. So some of those wholesale platforms might be a little difficult to get into, but I remember for Fair Wholesale, I applied twice and I didn't get in until someone else recommended me. So sometimes they want referrals from other brands that are already on the platform. So the next question is from Perp on YouTube, and I was wondering how you decide on which scents fragrances to use. I always feel torn having to narrow down my favorites. Does it get any easier to do? No. It doesn't. I remember in the beginning when I first started my business, what I would do is have sniff and snip parties with my girlfriends, and I would have some wine, cheese, and I would have all the fragrance oils available there open and have people sniff them, rate them on a piece of paper, and tell me their thoughts. Because you can't always just go with what you want. I mean, you can do whatever you want because it's your business ultimately. But if you're like me, I love woody, masculine, musky scents like tobacco, vanilla, Palo Santo. Not everyone likes what I like. So it's good to get other people's opinions on some of your fragrances, but also take them with a grain of salt. If you know something is a very popular scent with other makers, maybe try recreating it yourself. A lot of the fragrances that I use are custom blends. Some of them are straight up from the bottle, and others are custom blends that I make myself. So what I do for my collection line is that I try to have a good variety of fragrances. I like maybe 2 or 3 masculine, musky, woody scents, some florals, some spa-like scents, some fruity scents, maybe some that are perfumey. If you have a nice combo of fragrances like that, then I feel like you can't go wrong. So I have 2 questions from Simply Soul's Soothing Company. Have you declined any orders because of having Ellie, and how do you organize it all? The next one is, I love how you are prioritizing Ellie so much throughout all of this. Keep rocking it, mama. Thank you, I try. Okay, so have I declined any orders because of having Ellie? No, I haven't. So what I did was I was due with Ellie on March 9th. And from March, actually, I think from mid-February all the way until April 1st, I closed wholesale orders down so that no one can place a wholesale order. The last date to place a wholesale order, I think, was February 28th. So I wasn't doing any wholesale orders because I knew that wasn't going to be possible for me. The website, what I did was, as you can see all of my candles on the shelf there, I made a surplus overstock of candles right before I was due, so that all I had to do was pack and ship candles once someone placed an order. For my website, what I did was I went and I updated the processing times, and I think my processing times initially were from 2 to 3 days. I would package and ship out your order. I updated it to be 7 to 14 days. So I was giving myself essentially 2 weeks to get your order, package it up, and ship it out. And even though I gave myself a 2-week window, I think I was still processing items within like 4 or 5 days. And the reason why I gave myself such a long period is so that I didn't know how I was gonna feel after having the baby. I didn't know if I was gonna have the energy to get up and package order. I didn't know if while she was taking a nap, maybe I wanted to take a nap, or would I have the energy to package up orders? I didn't know any of that. I'm a first-time mom, so I wasn't sure how that was going to happen. I decided to not have a summer collection just so that I can fully concentrate on wholesale, custom, and online orders and of course the baby, and spending time with her because she's only going to be this little for so long. So I'm going to make sure that I'm not missing anything. And I promised all of my followers that I was going to come back full force in the fall and in the winter, which is predominantly our stronger season anyway. So that's the way I'm prioritizing my maternity leave and handling the summer collection and the business while having Ellie at the same time. Next question is from Sacred Soy Candle Company, and they want to know, how do you pack orders for the summertime, pop-ups, or just in general events? So how do I pack and ship my orders in the summertime? So all candle makers have the same issue shipping their candles in the summer because it can potentially melt. One major key is don't ship all over the weekends. It's summer, it's plus 90 degrees outside. I don't ship on the weekends. I ship in the summertime, Monday through Thursday. And that's one way that you can prevent your candle boxes sitting in a truck or sitting in the post office in 90-degree weather doing nothing. So ship Monday through Thursday, that's one way. In general, I don't do anything different to the boxes because of that, and my candles have always arrived on time. In the beginning, when I first started my business, they were melting, but that was because I was using a different wax formula. Now, which is something I'm not gonna go into too much, so now I use a different wax formula that doesn't really melt that much while you're shipping. And plus I don't ship over the weekends when it's over 100 degrees. I'm not going to go into specifics as to which wax I use because, disclaimer, we talked about that earlier today. And how do I pack for pop-ups or just general events? I am going to insert up here a card linking back to a pop-up that we did, and I show you guys how I pack my candles. But essentially what I do is I take my candles and I put them right back in the original box that they ship to me from the supplier, and that's how I take them to events. It's what works for me. Everyone does something differently, but I think I am going to film a video talking about how I get ready for pop-ups, how I package everything, how I set up my table. So stay tuned for that video. Okay, and the next question is, when did you fall in love with candle making? Okay, so my passion for candle making started way back when I was a little girl. Every Sunday, my mom would wake up, clean the house, wake me up so I can help her clean the house, and then we'd light a candle. So we were always in love with fragrances, scents, things that smelled good. We would always go to TJ Maxx, Home Goods, buy their candles. This is way before I even knew about toxins and all the phthalates and things like that, all the bad stuff they put in candles now. So fast forward, this is actually kind of like a two-part question. So I've always loved scents, fragrances, candles. I always had candles burning in my house. Then I also had a passion for traveling. My father worked for United Airlines back in the day, and I loved to travel. And my grandmother would always tell me, travel, see the world before you get married and start having children. So ever since I was old enough to travel alone, 16 years old, I remember my dad would send me tickets and I would just travel domestically to Texas, because he lived in Texas, Boston, because I had another stepsister that lived in Boston. So I was always going places. Once I got old enough to travel internationally alone, I was always going places. Hence the tattoo that I have on my arm of the world, and hence why the company is called Wanderlust, because Wanderlust means a deep desire to travel. So fast forward, I meet my husband, and we start dating, we start traveling everywhere together. We've been to Thailand, Costa Rica, the Maldives. We went to the Maldives for our honeymoon. We just finished our Thailand and Costa Rica trip, and we were sitting on the couch in our apartment, and I was thinking about ways that I can have like a side income, make more money on the side, so that we can have more money to travel, and then also for a house later on in the future. And I don't know how it hit me, but I just thought of candles. Like, why don't I try to make candles? And I think the reason why that came to me was because the night before I was playing around with a candle that I bought from like Home Goods or something that wasn't burning right. And I kept trying to fix it, and I always like playing with the wax. Okay, Ellie, wait a minute. The bell, here, play with the other thing. Play with the other thing that doesn't make noise. Yeah, so I think I was playing with a candle, and I always loved playing around with wax and things like that. And I think just like dipping my finger in it and like peeling it off. I don't know. Did you guys ever do that? I know it's super weird, but comment down below and tell me if you ever have. Yeah, so hence that, and then thinking about travel and how I can combine the two. And we thought of Urban Wanderlust. And I can't even tell you the names that we even thought of for the company before it was Urban Wanderlust, but I think it just came to me. You know, I'm thinking urban, I'm from Brooklyn, I'm Latina, and then Wanderlust, I love to travel, and Urban Wanderlust just came into fruition like that. And that's how my love for candle making came about, I guess. Next question. Okay, what does one need to start a candle business on a budget? I feel like there's a lot of candle suppliers that have like starter kits available. I would suggest buying one of these starter kits, and I think they come with wax, pouring pitcher, fragrance oils, and like tins to make them with. Buy that, practice, and test, because can I tell you, I think I was fully testing my candles for like a year before I actually launched with a product that I thought was good enough for customers. But trust me, you need to test everything. Test the wax, test your pouring temperature, test your wicks, test your jars, everything. And it's years of testing. And I can tell you that fast forward 3 years, I was still figuring things out. So at my 3-year mark, there were still things that I was trying to perfect. It took me years of practicing to get the perfect pouring temperature for the type of wax that I use and fragrance oil percentages to just get the perfect formula for me to make the perfect candle for customers. So what I would suggest, if you're starting on a budget, you don't need a fancy huge pot like this. I didn't upgrade to this until like my 3rd year, or maybe even fourth year of candle making. I had a Presto pot, and before Presto pot, I had just one pouring pitcher. Actually, I had 2 pouring pitchers and a pot on my stove, and I used the double boiling method. Use that. You don't need a lot to start with. Start cheap. Only buy the supplies you need to sell online. Once you sell out of those candles, buy more. You don't need this 100 surplus of overstock jars in order to have a blossoming business. You can have 10 jars, and when you sell out of those 10 jars, take that money and buy more. Being successful is making sure that you're not spending more that you're making. So start cheap, start small, and grow from there. The next question is, what do you do when you're feeling unmotivated? Okay, so to be honest, that happens a lot more often than you guys would think. There are a lot of days where I'm just feeling down, you feel unmotivated, you start comparing yourself to other candle makers that are doing better than you, and then you start thinking to yourself, well, I started before this person. How do they have more followers than me? Or how are they making more money than me? Or it looks like they're making more money than me. They're always posting all this stuff. And what do you call that? It's called imposter syndrome. I used to let that get to me a lot. And what do? I just disconnect. I don't log on to IG. I don't post anything. I take the time that I need to just relax, binge some television shows, read a book, spend time with Peter. This is before Ellie, spend time with Peter, go outside, go do things. Sometimes you need to disconnect from social media, because social media can be evil sometimes. It can get to you. It can make you feel like an envious person. So it's okay to just disconnect. That's the way that I make myself feel better when I'm feeling unmotivated. And sometimes you have to toot your own horn too, to remind yourself why you're such a great person. Go back and look at some of the photos that you posted on Instagram to remind yourself where you started and where you are now. Or if you haven't started, just remember that everyone had a beginning point. I had to start from somewhere too. I had no followers, no experience making candles, and I taught myself, so then it's okay to kind of like pat yourself on the back and think, oh, you know what, I'm the shit. It's okay, Okay, so the next question is from Claudia on YouTube, and it's, what was your biggest struggle with starting your candle business, and how did you get through it and overcome it? I think the biggest struggle was just thinking that I wasn't ready, thinking that it wasn't good enough for me to launch yet, and also being embarrassed to launch. And I don't know why I was embarrassed. I think I was scared to be judged. I was scared to launch. And I think I was just embarrassed to sell to my friends. I felt like I was forcing them to buy my stuff, which in fact I wasn't forcing them to do anything. It was just like, hey, here I am. I'm a candle maker now. Buy my stuff. I think I was embarrassed about that. But how did I overcome that? I have to give a lot of credit to Peter because he is my biggest cheerleader. He's always pushing me to do things and pushing me out of my comfort zone. So I think it was him. I think he forced me to overcome it. You know, he's like, so what, babe? You're making this. They're not. You have this talent. You're doing this. Just like, it doesn't matter what they think, you know, just go out there, post it. So really, Peter was my biggest cheerleader of all time, and he still is. He's always pushing me to get out there, and he's always pushing me to just do it. It doesn't matter what other people think. So I think that if you don't have someone like that on your corner, I'm that person, and I'm telling you, just do it. Just push it, post it, launch your website. That's why you see me on Instagram selling myself, always posting. And sometimes it could get annoying if you're posting every single day, every single minute. That's what you have to do to market yourself, and you can't be embarrassed, and you have to put yourself out there, you know? So I think that that's the biggest thing you have to do in order to overcome it, is not care what other people think about you, which is a hard thing to do nowadays. You got to think like this. You want to have a business, you want to sell products, you want your business to blow up, then you have to show face and you have to put yourself out there. Don't be embarrassed. So I think I'm going to end the video right here because I have a lot of questions and I don't want this to be too long, and two, because Ellie's already fussing and she's telling me to cut it short, and she's the boss. So I hope I answered all of your questions, and if I didn't, comment down below anything else that I might have missed, and hopefully I can film a part 2. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Excuse me, Miss Ellie. I'm trying to film. What are you doing? What are you doing? You think it's funny? You think it's funny?
And it can melt. Okay. Ellie needs to go use the bathroom.